We're in a series called Relationships by the Book. Now, our challenge is to talk about marriage by the book, but we're going to specifically talk about this morning the puzzle called marriage. Now, how many have you put together a jigsaw puzzle with like 10 pieces before? Very easy, right? Mm-hmm. How many of you put together a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle?
Oh, yeah, that's more
Anybody
difficult.
go higher than that?
Higher than that? Whoa.
Okay, now some of you not even raising your hands because jigsaw puzzles are so old school and you're so Snapchatty and IG that you cannot put your phones down. But back in the day, we used to put together puzzles.
Yeah.
And marriage is a puzzle of sorts, right? You have to put together all these pieces: communication, intimacy, finance, kids. You have to look at what you bring to the table. There's a lot of pieces when it comes to how to do marriage successfully. And just like a puzzle, some of us, what we try to do is we try to make it up as we go along, right? Mm-hmm. We don't try to look at what we call the box top. What we try to do is we try to put together the edges first. How many edgers do we have out there?
Yeah.
Right? You start with the edges because that's easy, right? And then some of your color coordinated, right? You just start looking at, the blues go here together, the reds go here. Yeah. That's pretty easy. And then some of you, you're looking at the shapes and you're saying, wow, that probably goes here. Those are the real smart ones because they're calculating.
Yes.
Right? But the deal is that the best way to do it is to look at the box top. Everybody say box top.
Box top.
Because that's the cheat sheet, right? Mm-hmm. So look at our box top here. Now, if this is God's view of marriage and this is what you're supposed to create with all those thousands or 2,000 pieces, if that's the box top, how many of you know that it's hard to do that without the top?
That's right.
But sometimes in marriage and relationships, we're trying to put the puzzle together without seeing the ultimate vision.
Yes. So there is a problem in our culture today when it comes to marriage, which is going to have a direct impact on the generations to come. Marriage, the image of marriage has been so fragmented and so distorted that we are passing on broken pieces, missing pieces from our puzzle, and expect our kids to be able to figure out how to put this puzzle completely together without all the pieces or with distorted pieces or broken pieces. The divorce rate in the NFL is 90%. 70%, sorry.
She got a little happy.
I got too happy, but that is in the military though, 90%.
Did you guys catch that statistic? 70.
70%.
70% of marriages in the NFL end in divorce.
Yeah. And in the area that we live in Orange County, we found out is 72% divorce rate in Orange County, which is even higher than the NFL. And then amongst Christian marriages, the divorce rate is 60% among Christians' marriages who has the power of God and they have the fruit of the Spirit in their lives, still aren't able to figure out how to put these pieces together the way God intended it to be put together. So marriage is one of the most important institutions that we're going to be a part of. It's directly a part of a calling of God in our lives. Yet, we don't seek mentorship. We don't try to learn. We don't seek out that blueprint. Because if you don't know what the goal is, then you're really haphazardly guessing what goes where and how does this work and how do we put this together.
How do we fit it all together?
That's right. So our culture is an image-driven culture. So
how many do IG?
IG, Facebook.
Who doesn't do IG in here? Who doesn't know what the heck we're talking about this morning? Right? It's an image-rich culture.
Yeah.
It's where your kids and your grandkids are all like this.
Yeah.
And they can't even talk to you because they won't even call you on the phone anymore because why? They got a live view. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing today, right? We're an image-driven culture.
Yes. And with us being an image-driven culture, yet we're passing on this distorted image from generation to generation. We have to clear this image up for our children and our children's children. So a lot of us, so some of the things we're driven by is unrealistic images. There are images that we feel like this is what marriage is about, especially in the media. It shows that marriage is about our happiness. My daughter and I just love the Hallmark Channel, love Lifetime, and we watch all these romantic movies where it just seems so... Yeah, he falls asleep on those, but it just...
Say yes to the dress. I mean, really?
Oh my gosh, that
Really?
was our favorite. Say yes to the dress.
And they binge watch it too.
Yes. Yes, my daughter already knows what wedding dress at the age of 4 that she wanted to get married in.
And I gotta give you guys a hint. It's not the $700 dress. It's like the $20,000 dress, right?
So our culture is saturated with these images of marriage, of happiness, riding off into the sunset, or it's the other end, marriage is like hard and broken and no one really has figured it out yet. So what are some of the things, some of the things that drive this image, these unrealistic images, is idealism, and that's what we were just talking about. Oh my gosh, if I get married, I'm going to be happy for the rest of my days. I'm never going to get angry. And we teach pre-marriage classes, and it's just so funny when we talk to these pre-married couples, and when we tell them, we got to let you know that you're going to be angry. You're not going to have fun in your marriage. Your spouse is going to upset you and make you cry. Sometimes you're going to say, why did I get married? They're like, no. Never. I love him. He's perfect for me.
Perfect.
I'm like, listen, you got to get your head out of the clouds. Marriage is hard. It's not riding off. It's not this ideal. This is a real thing. You got to have a reality check.
Or the distorted image of a companionship. Like, I just got to have someone to make me happy for the rest of my life, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we enter into marriage, or maybe if you're already married, maybe you entered in like that, and then like year 2, you realize like, sometimes those funny, fickle feelings of emotional highs and lows, and you think you're hitting a high, and then when you hit the low, that's when you think, oh man, we're not happy anymore.
Right.
It's that feeling of love has just kind of left just a little while. That's why we subscribe to being friends in every season of your relationship.
Yeah.
Say that with me out loud. Friends.
In
every season.
In every season. Every season of your
my relationship.
Yeah.
Right? What's another view?
So another view is sexual fulfillment. Now,
can we say sex in church?
I mean, Pastor Eric, are we okay?
Is that we okay?
We like to keep it real.
Okay, good,
okay. Okay.
How many of you like sex, by the way? It's okay? No kids are in here, right?
But sometimes we go with these expectations or unspoken expectations or unrealistic expectations, like, oh, I'm just going to enjoy and have all the sex all the time whenever I want it.
Whenever I want it.
And so...
How many men thought you were going to get it whenever you wanted it? Right?
Well, how many women thought it was going to be like the movies, like every time it's going to be like the Harlequin romance novels, right? So sometimes those are our unrealistic images that we go into, and then when things don't happen that way, that's when disappointment and disillusionment and dissatisfaction come into our marriage and threaten our unity and bond. So we have to clear that image. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we have to clear that image. That's all I say.
So in clearing that image, again, we've got to go back to the box top. We've got to go back to the blueprint of who made marriage and why did God make marriage. And that's in the Bible. That's the book, right? And we start here in Genesis, right? And let me just put you at ease. We're not going to tell you anything that you don't know. Mm-hmm. Some of us, we don't have to come back to church. Now, I know Eric's going to kill me. But some of us, we don't even have to come back to church. We just need to do what we already know to do.
Yeah.
Right? So today we're not going to teach you probably anything new. We're going to give you some reminders. And how many of you have calendars that you're A-type like me? You put it on your calendar, and that means you're going to do it. This is just to-dos to put on your calendar.
Yeah.
Genesis chapter 2:18 says this, "Then the Lord said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." So our first point this morning is that purpose number 1 is mutually complete one another. Marriage, one of the purposes is to mutually complete one another. Again, Genesis 2:18 says, then the Lord said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to relationships, last week you talked about relationships. We're not called to walk by ourselves or to be alone. We're called to be in relationship. In fact, God himself is in relationship. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They call that the perichoresis. Yeah. It's how they dance around one another. They're in relationship, and we're not called to walk alone. How many of you seen that movie, The Lone Ranger?
That's very old.
Yeah, how many of you feel like you're the Lone Ranger in here? You feel like I'm just a loner, I'm a rebel without a cause. Mm-hmm. You're not called to walk alone. So when we get to marriage topics and we say, God has created you to walk with someone, you say, well, does that mean, Pastor, that all of us should be married? And we say, no, you're not going to. That's a trick question, by the way. See, we believe God has someone for everyone, but there's two things that you have to take in consideration, and that's the timing and the preparation. Yeah. Hello? How many of you ever shot a gun before? Don't shoot a gun unless you know how to shoot a gun, right? Mm-hmm. And we say don't get married unless you know what you're doing. At least go through pre-marriage counseling or get some mentors to help you along the way, or at least a box top. So the box top says that we are not made to walk or be alone.
Yes. So when God made Adam a helper that's suitable for him, sometimes in our pre-marriage and in just our marriage counseling, sometimes women are like, well, why am I just supposed to help him? And it's not that it's a demoralizing or you're putting either one of the roles down. It's just saying you're to help each other. And because there are some things that we're not going to know about ourselves when we're alone, but there are things that we can only learn by being in relationships. And not just in your marital relationship. You're not just to walk alone as an individual, but you're not to walk alone as a couple. There's only a way to learn. Like when George and I, before we got married and I was single, I felt like I was fine. I felt like I was awesome. I felt like I was...
Another way to say that is she thought she was perfect.
I thought I was so humble, so loving,
so patient, so kind.
And giving. Yeah, and then I get married and I realize, oh my gosh, I am very selfish. I want what I want, the way I want it, and how I want it. It took an adjustment to learn about these things that were deeper in my soul that I could have never learned if I continued to be isolated and alone.